A long time and 1.8 million mastery points after my decision to one-trick Trundle top lane, I finally hit Masters. During this time, I learned a lot not only about playing Trundle, but also about playing top lane. In this video, I'll be covering 5 different things I learned during my climb to a Master Elo top laner. So rotations and macro is a pretty big topic, okay? And I feel like I learned a lot. Not only a lot of theory, but also how to execute it in practice, okay? Because I feel like a lot of top laners, they get in this mindset where they are essentially stuck, you know? They think, oh, I am a top laner, I need to stay top lane. You know, they don't even think about the option that, you know, they could group with their team. For example, you know, the champion that I played, Trundle, you know, he's very much known to be a split pusher. You just push top lane and, you know, that's all you do. But in reality, there's a lot of other things that you can do as well to help your team and, you know, help you win the game. This is a Diamond 1 game, and this is an example situation of just that, you know, rotations. So, if we go back a little bit, you know, I'm just coming out of base here. I just died to the Cassadin. In this game, the Cassadin is very fed, and our team is not looking too great, okay? The enemy team is pretty strong bot side, and they're mid too, and, you know, it's a pretty even game. So let's see what I do here. I just came out of base, I went to top lane to farm these minions. I'm kind of, you know, avoiding the Cassadin. I also have a ward there in the jungle, so I see if he wants to come for me. And now we see that Braum and Ashe are out of position and the Cassadin is going for a flank. Okay? So I already did the big thing here. Okay? Instead of just continuing on top lane, I decided, okay, well, there is basically no reason for me to do that anyways. If the Cassadin is really strong, and, you know, if I see that my allies are out of position in mid lane, then, you know, I might as well just clear the wave and then just, you know, go to mid lane right after that to cover them, so that, you know, I could maybe save somebody. So the Ashe dies and the Braum almost dies, but I arrived just in time to deter the enemy from killing him as well. They could have probably taken the tower and killed Braum here if I didn't arrive on time. So yeah, I end up saving Braum. And now, not only do I end up saving Braum, but the situation develops even further from here. Now imagine how much different this would be if I was in top lane, you know, all this time being like, oh, I am Trundle, I like towers, let me be top lane. But, you know, instead, I noticed, okay, the enemy is real strong, my team needs my help. I need to macro, use my brain cells, and, you know, rotate. So let's see what happens. The enemy wants to use Swift Hold and wants to force down mid lane, and that's okay. I tried to engage on the Jhin. I even ulted him there. Took out a lot of his HP there, but, you know, it still wasn't enough. And let's see what happens. So, Diana arrived. We have the enemy team here, kind of just stranded, all low HP. We have Shaco, we have Braum, we have Trundle here. And Ashe is dead. So this is basically a 4v5 at the moment, except that the enemy is really weak. And keep in mind that earlier on when I engaged on Jhin, he is basically low HP all because of me, okay? So Diana kills him. And Diana kills Cassadin as well. And then the rest of them are stuck between us and Diana. And we are able to go and kill these guys because I am here. Now, they probably could have killed them with Diana too, you know, if I was top lane right here. But, you know, just it gives your team more comfort, more confidence to, you know, go ahead and make those plays. So you're securing objectives with your teams. Killing the enemy team champions, you know, it's also an objective, you could think. And now suddenly, because of this, we are now able to do Baron. The enemy team is all dead. We are able to do Baron, and as you can see, the reward here is a lot bigger than if I just stayed top lane and split pushed. Maybe I could have gotten a tower, or, you know, a tower and a half or something like that, and they, you know, would have recalled and defended that. But, you know, because I grouped, because I realized that, okay, if I play for my team, then maybe we'll be able to do something here. So rotations, really important, and recognizing those situations where you need to rotate and, you know, play around the map. It comes with experience. It doesn't come in a snap like that, you know. You need to put in the games to understand when do you stay top lane and when do you rotate. So, yeah, and every situation is very, very situational, okay? Every situation is situational, right? So it depends on the game. So this is another example game of how you can utilize jungle tracking and, you know, how adaptability is a good thing. And, you know, why you should have the kind of mindset that, you know, you need to adapt to each game. Each game is different. So, for example, in this game, I am against the Teemo. Now, knowing this, instead of taking lethal tempo, like a lot of Trundle players do, I took Grasp. Why did I take Grasp? I took Grasp because it allows me to get extra sustain by having Overgrowth and Second Wind in my main runes, and then I can take Inspiration Second, and, you know, then I can have free boots and biscuits. So, you know, I have a lot of sustain, and, you know, I get free boots as well. Combine that with Doran's Shield, you have a lot of sustain, and it makes it very, very difficult for the Teemo to actually kill you. So this is what I mean by sustain, adaptability, sorry. And now, when it comes to jungle tracking, how I like to start a lot of my games is that instead of running to top lane, I actually run to mid lane, like this. And I go along the wall, like this, and enter this bush here. And now I can tell you, if you do this, there will be a lot of times when the mid lane won't even be here. So they can't really see you even entering the bush here. Okay? So what do we do next? Well, I just camp in the bush. And now keep in mind that this entire game, all the way from Champion Select, I was very wary of the fact that I am against the Teemo. The odds are stacked against me. What can I do? Can I like do something before the game starts? And, you know, I see, okay, they have a Silas Nunu. They have a Silas and a Nunu. What can I do about that? You know, I'm Trundle, I'm pretty strong early game. So what can I do? Well, maybe I could try to invade. And that's exactly what I did in this game. So I camp in the bush, and then as soon as the clock is around 120, I would say from 120 to 126 maybe, I start going. And now, of course, there was some luck involved with this. This doesn't work every game, but I'm just showing you other options. You know, you gotta think outside the box every game, okay? So the Nunus starts walking away, getting ready for his buff to spawn, and I just follow him. And this is a mistake that a lot of junglers do, actually, is that they don't camp the bush. They don't camp the bush, and because of that, you know, invades like these are possible. They just don't think about the possibility even, you know? So I'm able to just come around like this, and I didn't even place my ward. Huh. Yeah. I go around, and now I don't attack the Nunu immediately, okay? That is a mistake. If you invade level 1, you don't attack them immediately like this. Instead, what you want to do is that you wait, and then, you know, for example, Nunu here, he started Q. So you wait for the jungler to use their ability. It doesn't really matter what kind of ability it is. Might be something that allows them to get away if you don't wait for them to use it. But, you know, it's a good general etiquette. So, you know, you wait and you let them use their abilities on the buff. And then once it's about halfway through, I go on and I attack. And the timing here is very important for a couple of reasons. Because, you know, if you attack them too early, it allows them to escape. They can just walk away. But if you attack them just when, you know, the red buff, or, you know, you can invade blue buff too. If you invade just when the buff is around smite range, you know, when the enemy jungler could smite their buff, you know, that's when you attack. You know, you attack just in time so that, you know, it becomes very, very unclear to them whether they can actually stay or escape, you know, whether they can stay and, you know, smite the buff and escape, or, you know, if they just need to run away immediately. And that's what this happened here with this Nunu. You know, he thought that he could stay in time and get level 2 from the buff, but, you know, because how I timed it, he wasn't able to. And then I just killed him. And then I to steal his buff too. So, team comps. You kind of want to think about what your team can do without you. So essentially what you other 4 teammates can do by themselves, right? So in this example situation, there's Twitch, Lulu, Sejuani, and Ari, okay? There's a lot of peel. Lulu has a lot of good peel and shield. Sejuani has those too. You know, Ari has her charm. And, you know, Twitch is just a load of damage. So I think it's pretty safe to say here that in this kind of a game, these guys could manage team fights without me, which would make me a very good split pusher. And, you know, this is something that you want to think about even before the game has begun. You need to think, okay, I have these guys on my team. Do I need to split push more, or do I need to group more? Which is going to bring me more advantage, you know? Sometimes it's not even possible for you to split. In a matchup like Trundle versus Darius, it can be very volatile, where if the Darius gets a kill, then it's very difficult for you to come back into the game anymore. You know, it's really difficult for you to kill Darius in that kind of a situation. So you might want to opt for team fighting anyways, because, you know, if there's no way for you to split push, if it's too dangerous, if you go top lane like this, and then there's Darius like this, he's really strong, then you cannot do anything. So what do? Let's say that it's mid game, and, you know, Lulu and Twitch are just farming in mid lane, Ahri is in bot lane, and Sejuani is here. So what do? Well, you can just go to mid lane. You can think about situations where, you know, you might be useful. You know, if you cannot bring any advantage to your team by split pushing, then you need to think, okay, what can I do then? So then you would just push the wave, pass the river like this, and then you would just go down the river. The Darius would come over here, and then if there's not a play that's going to be happening in mid lane here, then you can just go back and defend in the tier 2. And then after that, the ADC and the support, they can clear the wave and they can come help you if the Darius wants to overextend, which happens a lot in lower elos. But what if you have a situation like this? So you have Syndra mid, Ivan jungle, Misfortune ADC, and Zillion support, and then Trundle top lane. So if you are in a matchup like this, then you can imagine that if you compare your own team's draft to what the enemy team has here, then you can probably notice that if you leave these guys by themselves, there is just not a lot they can do. The enemy team can do a lot more by just themselves. You know, if there's 4 enemy champions without the top laner, you know, these guys can do way more than your own team can. But if you are added to the equation, you know, you can provide peel. You can provide peel for the Syndra. You can provide peel for the Misfortune. And Ivan, okay, sure, he can provide peel as well, but he cannot really frontline in the kind of same way that Trundle can. You know, you can build very tanky as Trundle, you can build a Sterax, you can build Trinity Force, you can build Titanic Hydra even if you want to. A lot of good options that let you frontline and provide for your team. So when you compare this to the previous example, like here, then, you know, you need to recognize the situations. When can you split push? In a comp like this, it would be good if you split pushed, you know? It would be a good idea. But in a comp like this, you know, where your own team cannot function without you being there with them in the team fights, in the important team fights, you know, when you're taking Dragon, when you're taking Grubs or the Rift Herald, or you know, Nasher, stuff like that. You need to be there. So, and you need to recognize these situations. So, yeah. So, another thing that I want to talk about is managing mental. I feel like it's very important, and if you can to stay cool and not tilt, then, you know, you are going to go a long way. Now, one of the things that I personally had to do as well on this climb was, you know, just completely drop my ego. I wouldn't say that I had that big of an ego to begin with, but it's definitely something that you need to do. You need to be a little bit humble, and, you know, you just need to accept the fact that, you know, it's solo queue, okay? There are going to be games where you will lose, and there are games where you will get carried. It's okay to get carried sometimes. You know, you cannot expect to 1v9 every game you play. And for the sake of your own improvement, you should also stop thinking about what your teammates could have done differently. Instead, you should think about what you could have done differently. So, yeah. For example, in this game, I was against the Darius, and he was beating my ass, okay? And now I could have done a lot of things here. I could have just died and inted and, you know, given him a lot of kills and been angry because, you know, he's zoning me off of XP and gold. But if I can itemize defensively here, like I bought a ruby crystal and some armor, and, you know, if I can just clear waves and, you know, wait for the mid game so I can split push a macro, you know, beat them with macro, then, you know, I'm going to be okay. So, you know, there's definitely different kinds of approaches you can have, and having the right kind of approach where you can turn unfavorable situations into wins is a skill, and, you know, it takes time to develop that. You know, I could have been angry here that I had an Elise support, you know, I could have tilted because of that, and she was actually dying quite a lot too. She was 0-5, so the situation was definitely not looking good here. The Darius was really, really strong. The Nocturne was 4-0, but, you know, guess what ended up happening? If we scroll to the end, then Lee Sin ended up getting fed, and, you know, I had 16 assists by the end of the game. I built Dead Man's Plate so I could help my teammates catch enemies better, and, you know, Blade of the Ruined King and Ravenous for damage, you know? So, you know, you need to be a little bit smart and, you know, just keep you cool and think, okay, if I won't end and if I will play responsibly and well, then I'm giving a possibility for other people in my team to carry, and then you can win more games that way. But that was about it for me for this video. I hope that some of the tips and tricks I told you guys in this video were helpful. And you know, if you guys have any suggestions on what kind of videos you would like to see from me, different topics, anything, leave that down in the comments. If you have any questions or any criticism, leave that in the comments as well. And yeah, that was it for me. Thank you guys. I will see you in another video. Bye bye.